What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Comment Writers. We are a Kamen Rider review podcast, and this week we are going to talk about Kamen Rider Gotchard episode 16. I'm your host, Josh Meek, the Uber Geek, and I'm joined, as always on the show, by my good friend, Toby Tobes. How's it going, Toby?
Happy 2024, Josh.
Happy 24, yes. We're recording this just before the new year. It'll go up in the new year.
Shit.
More than likely. So we're crossing the time continuum at this point. It is both the past, the present, and the future.
All rolled into one.
Mm-hmm. I'm your ghost of Christmas past.
That you are.
So true. Toby, I have a story to tell you today. And the
Perfect.
Audience. I have a story to tell the audience. Our Discord was talking about things that we had talked about in one of our Ramblecast recently, and I knew this about myself, but I had the realization that when you and I are podcasting, most of the time I kind of forget when we're chatting that it's for a podcast, and I just like telling stories. And then I forget that like I told a story about someone in our Discord, and then I wasn't really even thinking at the time that that person would then hear the story. It wasn't a bad story, but it was just a funny connection there of oh yeah, there are people who listen to this and can hear the things that I say. Okay, yeah. But anyway, that's a preface to say this is a story about poop. So I don't think most people think about the fact that becoming a parent means that you become very intimately acquainted with another human being's poop for years and years. Obviously, when your kid's a baby, there's the butt wiping and stuff that you're dealing with diapers and stuff. And then it just kind of continues on. And then eventually your kid gets old enough where they can talk about poop, and poop becomes the most interesting thing in the world to them. So my daughter currently has a double ear infection right now, and she's taking medicine for it. And the doctor told her when she got her medicine that it might turn her poop red. Some kids, that might upset them that their poop was red. My daughter was extremely excited that her poop might be red. And when she came home that day, she ran to me in my office. She gave me a big hug, and she said, "Dad, my poop's going to be red for Christmas." That's what the doctor said. So it's been days and days. This was leading up to Christmas, and now after Christmas for a couple days, where she was desperately wanting red poop, and it wasn't happening for her. So it's a couple days after Christmas now, and we had a Christmas miracle, Toby, because she went to use the bathroom. She freaked out, and we all go in there. We all go in the bathroom. We look in the toilet, and she has not just red poop, Toby, but she has a little poop that is half red and half green. It's a Christmas miracle.
Jesus Christ.
So we all stand in the bathroom. We celebrate her wonderful Christmas poop that she had. She's stoked. And we tell her to go ahead and flush it now that she got to see it. She's so happy. And she wouldn't flush it. She refused until I took a photo of it, Toby. So she made me get out my phone and take a picture of her poop. And then she was okay and was able to flush it.
There's never been a better time for social media in this world where you could share this poop if you so desired with the world.
In this current incarnation of the world where I'm increasingly off social media, so there's never been a better time for me to be on it now and share this photo of this turd. I don't know if I need to subject the world to that. I was subjected to it, but yeah, I didn't really see myself doing that, when I started on this parenting journey 4 years ago, but here we are. And I'm taking pictures of poops to appease my daughter.
I would say that you're way more responsible of an adult than I am. Not so much for the child rearing, but more so that if I today at 40 had a red and green poop right around Christmas, I would take a picture. I would post it on my Twitter that is full of other such nonsense. And I'd probably even post it on my secret private Instagram that's just for my friends and my family. And I would show them the Christmas poop. So I wouldn't even just play it up for the masses of this fits in the world. Let's just all have a laugh at this. I would have make sure people knew that I somehow shit red and green at the same time. At the same time.
I respect that about you. I respect that you would let the world know. Yeah.
This
I
seems like a skill, like a talent.
It does, yeah. I've never seen that before. It was like, yeah, it was like split right down the middle. It was kind of like when you go and you get the like soft serve ice cream and it's the swirl kind, you know what I'm talking about? Where it's like the chocolate and the vanilla and they mix together. It was just like that. It was a swirl right down the middle. Yeah. Toby,
That,
I'm
that
a I'm a little offended, by the way, that I'm not a part of this secret Instagram that you apparently have. You've got a
you can be.
you've got a Finsta, and I'm not part of it, and it's very upsetting. It's very upsetting.
There's pictures of dogs and normal life on there. So if you want to see that, Josh, we can have a
I do.
we can tabletop this conversation. We can put a pin in it.
We'll take it offline. Okay,
We'll
good.
take it offline. We'll parking lot it. We'll whatever
You and
the hell.
You and all the other business terms. My favorite of those, my favorite of the euphemisms for "we'll talk about this later" that come up in business is the "we'll take it offline," because no, you freaking won't. It'll just be a different online. Like we all work from home. Everyone's remote. We're all talking on the internet. We're not going to take it offline. We're just going to take it to a different medium online. It's not going to be on this call. It's going to be in a message or something. Yeah.
It's just one of those things that, like, at some point someone said it once, and that person was probably higher up in the ranks of the world. So everyone was like, this is a genius phrase or saying to use. Because the one that offends me the most, and it doesn't happen a lot anymore, but in meetings when I used to work in person with people, some of the older generation would always say, let's take a bio break.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And that's the wildly professional way to be like, hey, I have to go poop red and green. But like realistically, we're all adults. Everyone knows we all go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, let's just say, like, let's take a 5-minute break. Hey, if anyone wants to run to the bathroom real quick, go for it. Like, there's no reason to put fancy terms on it. Because even if you're going to, like, flex the line of, oh, well, then if so-and-so has to go to the bathroom, they don't feel as called out or as offended because it's a bio break. And you weren't like, hey, Toby, do you need to go take a shit real quick? And I was like, no, I'm good right now. But it's just as bad.
Yeah,
like,
no, I agree.
Like, if you say, does anyone need to go to the bathroom? And 2 people get up and get like a drink or go pee or whatever. It's the same vibe as if you say like, let's go take a bio break. Does anyone need a bio break? And then of course it's the same thing. If someone leaves, you know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. I've always been of the very strong opinion, because I've worked with people who do the bio break thing. And I've always been of the very strong opinion that bio break is a much grosser term than just saying bathroom break. Like,
Yeah.
everyone still knows it. You're going to the bathroom, and literally you're talking about their like biological functions at that point. Where a bathroom break, it's just you're going to go in the bathroom. Who knows what you're going to do in there? Let's not discuss what's happening in there. You're just going in there. But bio break is like you're going to go in there and you're going to pee urine out of your penis. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like we're getting a little too intimate with what's happening inside the bathroom. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Let's go take a powder.
Let's go to, yeah, exactly. Or like you said, just let's take 5. Let's have a 5-minute break. I don't care what you do during that 5
do
minutes.
Do what you gotta do. Anyone need a drink? You need to go to the cafeteria quick?
My favorite thing to do during 5-minute breaks at work is to stare at the wall and contemplate the existence of life. That's what I like to do. Some people like to go to the bathroom. I like to just disassociate for a good 5 minutes and then bring it all back so I can talk about dumb shit again. You know? But yeah, we don't have to even call it a bio break. We don't call it a bathroom break. It's a break. We're just taking a break.
Josh, my last favorite in-person work story, and I want everyone to truly know like how hard of a worker I am. In every meeting that I was ever invited to at my last job and this one, I would always sit at the head of the table because we always had the long ovalish tables, but there was always a front and a back or top and a bottom or 2 heads, whatever you call it. I'd always sit at one of the heads. And the reason was I could pretend I was staring down the table at everyone, but in reality, I was just sitting on Discord talking to people.
Oh yeah, because no one's behind you, right?
No one can sneak up behind me. No one's to the side of me. They can shoot the side eye and be like, "What's all these funny faces doing? What's this animated snow globe doing on a screen?" There was none of that. So I always sat at the head or the tail of the table and just pretended like it was also like a boss move. like this young kid, this young guy strolling in. He's sitting at the head like he's running shit, and I really wasn't. But I'd always sit at the head to do whatever I want to do the whole meeting.
Yeah. I hate to break this to you. Everyone knew that you were on Discord the whole time. That's just a fact. Everyone knew.
They might have.
Yeah. I've been in meetings with people who are chatting on Discord instead of being in the meeting, and it's always very obvious. That's okay though. It's fine because you know what? That's also a boss move. Is just sitting at the head of the table and very obviously not paying attention and talking on Discord. That's a pretty baller move too.
Yeah, see?
Go for it. Yeah. My wife's work, I might get in trouble for sharing this, and I'm not sure, but my wife's work, one of their like business phrases that they all seem to say is they say lean into, like, oh yeah, well let's lean into that and see if we can get it figured out by the end of the week or whatever. Like lean into is their term for like let's focus on something, and it maddens me every time I hear something like we're leaning into this. Like, oh my god. Just that's the most like company culture phrasing that could ever possibly exist.
Does she ever use it on you at home?
No, she
like
doesn't.
if you need to clean.
Let's
Like,
lean
if,
into
like,
this kitchen.
Yeah.
I would divorce her. That's what would happen. No, I wouldn't divorce her, but I would strongly advise her not to use that phrasing anymore for my own personal sanity.
I would stand there and seethe and then get on Discord and send a message to Toby. She fucking said it to me in the kitchen, man.
She goddamn said it. I told you she would. Yeah, that's what would happen for sure. Yeah. No, I think I dislike that one enough that I would tell her. I'd be like, listen, I'll help you clean, but like, we don't need to say that. We don't need to use those words. Good times.
Speaking of words we don't need, Josh, do we have any emails this week?
We do have an email this week. This email full of words we do need comes to us from our good friend Shade. So if you want to send us an email like Shade here did, send those over to cast@commonwritersucks.com. Also find links in the description for that as well, but cast@commonwritersucks.com. Shade says another red gotcha has appeared. She says, hey there, it's been a while. It's been a while, hasn't it? I've been pretty busy recently and only have a small amount of free time. So like a responsible person, I spent that free time playing 2 hours of Marvel Snap every day. LOL. But in my defense, that's 2 hours less than normal. Shade, one of us. Anyways, some big news for today and a somewhat complicated one too. The Geets and Gotchard movie has finally been released, and holy crap, it contained a big reveal bomb in it. It's so big that the official Kamen Rider account even announced it straight away right after the movie aired, which, is weird, considering they haven't shown it in the series yet, but they seem to be referencing it in today's episode with Kudo's ring. I'm kind of torn on whether or not I should talk about it on the show, so I'm going to leave that there for now and hope the show is going to do something about it, or that you guys find out about it somehow. It is all over the internet after all. So we had our Discord friends telling us to avoid spoilers, avoid the internet. I'm assuming it's related to this. And you saw the thing, right? Did you see the spoiler thing? Are you aware of what Shade's talking about?
So I saw a spoiler thing. I was gonna share it in the spoilers channel, and then I saw whoever was yelling, "Don't look online, there's spoilers." So there was a thing that I saw, and then we got the notice of be super careful on the internet today because there's a second bigger spoiler thing out there.
Okay.
So I don't know which thing I saw. I don't know which tier of spoiler it was. And I half expected it to be in the episode this week, and it wasn't.
Oh, interesting.
So I don't know what it was from, other than there's no good way for me to dance around. So I was going to stop talking about it. I saw one of the two spoiler things. I don't know which one it was.
So normally I'm like anti, spoiler and like, hey, we'll get to it when we get to it in the show and stuff like that. And, we don't watch the recap for next episode to kind of stay fresh. But I'm also thinking like, we're not going to get to see this movie for a long time. And if the official Kamen Rider Twitter account just tweeted it out, like maybe we should see it. I don't know.
All right. Well, then I'm going to do what I like to do and just ruin things for myself.
Okay, perfect. Let's do it.
So do you know what the official Twitter is?
No.
Okay, so there's a Team Rider US.
That's the US one, of course.
Is that only
That is like that's divorced from the actual Japanese Kamen Rider people. Like they're official, but they're not, they don't work that closely is what I gather.
okay? I don't. Well, so it would just be the Toei Twitter then?
Maybe.
But that's animation. I don't know. I don't know how to find
Um this is where we just look for
because like Kamen
Japanese Twitter
Rider
accounts. It's probably also
official
like in
Twitter.
Japanese too.
Well, there's like someone owns Kamen-Rider-official.com. Is that
That's the real website. Yeah, so I guess we could go from there.
all right? So then don't look. Hold on. Let me get on here.
Okay, their official Twitter wants me to log in. I don't want
It's
to log
HKR20 official, right?
in. It's still trying to log in.
They did post a nice picture of Poppy wishing everybody Merry Christmas again.
Ooh.
That's Poppy? Yeah, that's Poppy. Okay. I don't know. It's hard to tell from the pictures what's what.
Okay, we'll maybe look it up then. We'll take this offline, Toby. We'll look it up.
Let's tabletop this.
Yeah, we'll tabletop it. We'll just sideline it. We'll just round the bases, and we'll see if we can figure it out. And maybe we'll spoil ourselves on this particular one because it sounds like
No, wait. No. It is the one that I saw.
Okay.
It's what I will call the second piece of the thing that I already heard about.
Okay.
So if you're gonna look at the official Toei Twitter or the Kamen Rider Twitter, stop yourself before December 22nd. So like anytime like 28, 27, 6, 25, all fine. December 22nd has the good bad picture.
Okay. Can you share it with me so I can see it?
Julie, we'll just bleep this out.
Are we not sharing it as a whole? Okay,
I'll
look at it off episode then. That's fine. That's okay.
No, I'll tell you.
Okay.
You just tell me if it's cool or not. But then, like, I don't know how you want to.
I thought you were just gonna post it. Okay, now I'm seeing it. You posted it in our Discord here.
So okay. that second phrase, I saw a different version of first, and then I thought I knew when it was going to happen, and it didn't. And then I see this new picture now.
Okay, so I think we can spoil this one. We'll spoil it when we get to it in the episode. Get to the relevant section of the episode, because it does seem like now, after having watched episode 16, that they are referencing this. So if you really desperately want to avoid the Kamen Rider Gotchard Geats crossover movie spoilers, I will again mention it when we get to that point, give you a chance to turn the show off, but just putting that out there for people, we are going to slightly spoil a thing from that movie when we get to that point in the episode. Because now that I'm seeing what you sent me, I think it is worth talking about. Okay. We got that sorted out. Shade, thank you for guiding us into that as well. That was helpful. Shade says, besides all that, lots of fun stuff is going to happen in the movie. First off, the inspector guy. Yeah, we're not seeing him in the series. I don't think he was a guy for the movie to deal with. So yeah,
just the guy.
As we expected, he showed up because he was a lead into the movie. The movie also gave us some nice interview moments with the two Kamen Rider heroes because, my God, they are hilarious. Here are some translated highlights that I found. So Shade links a few different clips that were translated through, where Geats and Gotchard, the actors, are being interviewed and talking to each other, and it's as if they are the best of friends and they're laughing and hilarious. So there was one clip where they're asking Gotchard to teach Geats the Gotchard henshin. And Geats is like, oh, I don't have to be taught because I watch Gotchard every week, so I can totally just do it. So then he tries it and he doesn't know all of the hand motions. So he does this like goofy little like back and forth hand thing in the middle. Like he knows how it starts and he knows how it ends. So as soon as he does it, Gotchard runs back into the frame and he's like, "Stop making fun of me! Stop making fun of me!" He's like, "I'm doing my best." um, and then at one point in the little clips, Geets says that he is the voice of the Gotchard driver when it says Hopper 1 steam liner. He's just lying, obviously. And he was like, "Yeah," because he imitated it, and he's like, "Yeah, that's actually my voice." He's like, it's totally me," and he's lying. And then Gotchard says, "Like, you're gonna get in trouble for saying that." He's like, "Oh, am I gonna get in trouble?" Like, "Yeah, you're gonna get in trouble for saying this." Like, "Okay, I'm just kidding. It's not me." So yes, they seem like they are the absolute best of friends, and continuing the trend of every time I see the actor who plays Geets, who plays Ace, out of character, he seems like the most fun person in the world.
I'm sure.
Like completely unrelated, completely different than Ace for sure. So yeah, those were super fun. Shade, thanks for sending those along. And then Shade says, "Remember the Geets noodle commercial? There's another noodle commercial with Gotchard. I really liked that one with Geets. I made some gifs of that one because it was so funny." And she says, "Now on to some announcements. For those of you who need it, they will be selling a Hopper 1 plushie and the Geets Chemies in the future." So
we already saw the toys and the plushies. We're way ahead.
Yeah. The plushie, though, continues to be super cute. And then there's a new V Cinema coming out for Kamen Rider Geets. It's called Kamen Rider Geets Giamato Awakening. So there was, I guess, a little video footage of that. Buffa will be getting a new form called Plosion Rage, and a new mysterious version of Ace called Dooms Geets will appear.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a great name, Dooms Geets. And then, of course, Shade talks about the next Super Sentai series. So we've been talking about this in our Discord, but I don't think we've mentioned it on a show here yet. So the next official Sentai is going to be called Bakuage Sentai Boon Boomger, which is a
cool.
great name. Boon Boomger. I'm not sure if it's Boon. I'm sure it's, let's see, Boon Boomger, probably. It's probably Jur, like Ranger. Yeah. I think I got yelled at for that in an email months ago. And basically, this is a car racing Sentai, is what it appears to be. So the Sentai's faces are tires. Their suits look like racing fire suits. And on the poster, they're standing in front of what looks to be a stylized version of like a Corvette or something. And the poster looks just like a Fast and the Furious poster, which is great. And it says "coming boon" instead of "coming soon," and which is fun. So I'm pretty interested in what they're doing with this particular Sentai show. Shade says, "If the tire face and race car tracksuit wasn't obvious enough, the series is going to be car themed. I know this looks weird AF, but the past 3 series have also been weird, and they're all pretty fire if I do say so myself. Sentai have been getting progressively weirder and weirder as a way to reinvent themselves, and I gotta say, I kind of like where they're headed." Finally, a very important message from Buffa himself: Happy Christmas and a Merry New Year. And sends us a little Twitter link where the little Buffa Kemi is saying Merry Christmas. So thank you, Shade. Merry Christmas to you as well.
We're past Christmas. Shade, you wrote too late. It's 2024 now. I don't know
Merry
which
Christmas
we're talking about.
And Merry New Year. And also this email came in on Christmas Eve, so it works out.
Okay, I guess we'll allow it. That sounds okay.
Yeah. So thanks very much for the email. Again, if you are out there and you think, hey, sending these guys an email seems like a thing I would like to do, you can do that. It's very simple. Just send that email over to cast@kamenridersucks.com, and you will probably get read on the show. It's very easy, very simple. Emails come in, we read them, and yucks are had. That's pretty much how it works.
Get in early, and we'll read your email.
Yeah, don't be coming in saying like, hey, happy Easter, because that's just not what time of the year it is. That's not how it works.
That is not how it works.
Yeah. Toby, let's jump into talking about Kamen Rider Gotchard, episode 16, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. This was an interesting episode because there's a lot that happens. but also not a lot is explained. I feel like is the general vibe here. So
I was just upset that it's still Christmas and there's
it
still been
is
no death.
no death, no death.
There was a
Um,
chance. There was a chance or two where I thought maybe something would go sideways here, but no one has died for Christmas.
we have some people get petrified later in the episode here, and I was hoping that someone would get like tipped over and would break like in a million pieces or something, and that would be our Christmas death. But no, everyone spoiler turns out okay.
Damn it.
Yeah. But as you said, it is Christmas time. Hodoro is very proud of all the chemis that he has so far, and we get a nice little product shot at the beginning where he's got his
And
cards spanned out. He's got the stupid card holder. He's got
it's
everything.
it's so awesome because the days that we do like the card unboxings or when I try to figure out like what to put on eBay and whatnot, especially like specifically tied to the Kamen Rider Chemi cards, I felt seen today. I
Yeah,
was like, wow, this looks like my desk. We're sorting them out. We're putting them in little binders and boxes. It felt good.
100%. He even had because he had the little blue storage thing. It was as if he was putting them in binders. He was like, all right, I got them all out, and I can track them all. Here we go. Pretty great. Yeah. Um, Hodoro, like I said, is happy he's found the ones he has, but Sabi Maru says, "Hey, there's plenty more we don't have." He holds up his tablet and kind of scans through them. So I took some screenshots so we can talk about the chemis that are
Geets
uh,
was in there.
still to be found. Yes, Geets was in there. So the first three are Angelide, which is an angel. Then there's Zukyumpire, which is a vampire, and Dione is like a shogun looking guy. He's like sitting. He's got a big club. I don't really know what his whole vibe is. And then the next three I think are the most exciting for me. We have McCracken, which is a kraken. It is then we have the Giamata no Orochi, which will come up in this episode, but is a multi-headed giant snake beast. And
It was
then we
very
have
Hydra-esque.
exactly like Hydra-esque. Yep. And then we have a nine-tail fox. So there's your Geats Chemi. So we've got some fun ones there that we haven't seen so far. And Hodoro, I loved that this kept coming up. He asked, quote, Santa-san to help him tell him where the other chemis are. I love the idea of calling Santa-san.
I like that he's
Santa-san.
real. Because like
Yeah.
my one note as we get a little later, but we might as well mention it now. When Hodoro's best buddy is all excited about the crazy shit happening in his life again,
Mm-hmm.
he makes a weird comment like, "Oh, who looks for Santa?" Or like the way he worded it the first time made it sound like he didn't believe Santa was a real thing. And I
Yeah.
found it hilarious that him thinking Santa is fake and chasing UFOs and aliens and mummies and shit is okay was a very good duality of silliness.
It is very funny. And it's even funnier because seconds later, he decides that Santa is real because he hears a noise in the sky and thinks that it's Santa, and he tries to get a picture of it. He also, I think, last episode was saying like, "Yeah, I think Santa's an alien." That was his big idea that he was telling Sabi Maru was like, "Yeah, Santa is an alien." Yeah, that's how it works. So it was especially funny that yes, this time he was like, "Santa, ridiculous." um, but yeah, in leading up to that, we find out Hodoro, he wants to be able to go hunt more chemis, but he's going to be busy at the restaurant. He'd like some help. He eventually enlists Kudo to help for that, and we know that Renge will be selling Christmas cakes dressed like a reindeer. She has her part-time job that she will be doing. Christmas cakes must be like a really big thing in Japan, because we know they always make that Kamen Rider Christmas cake thing. We've looked at that before. And like, I don't know, I just see in a lot of media people selling like cakes on Christmas Day and stuff like that. So it must be.
I mean, the U.S. has their crazy fruitcake lore, where
Yeah,
where no one wants a fruitcake, but everyone buys each other fruitcakes.
yeah. So it must be similar to the fruitcake thing. Speaking of which, I tried fruitcake for the first time this year, Toby. I tried two things for the first time this year. I tried eggnog and I tried fruitcake. Eggnog was amazing, super delicious, love it.
Did
Would definitely drink more.
did yours have alcohol in it?
No. So I don't drink, so I didn't get
I
any
know.
with
I
alcohol,
was just
but
curious.
yeah. So it actually, that's actually funny. We went to a Christmas where my wife's dad was there, and his thing that he always brings to Christmases typically is eggnog. And I was like, I've never tried eggnog, but I want to try it. And she was like, oh, you can just try some of my dad's when we're at Christmas. And I'm like, I don't trust your dad. Like, I'm pretty sure that's spiked eggnog. And she was like, no, I don't think he usually spikes the eggnog. I don't think he does. I'm like, I still want to try some where I saw the bottle opening and I know for sure it's not. So we go to that Christmas. He brings the eggnog. They're drinking it, and we're heading home that night. And she's like, yeah, there was alcohol in the eggnog for sure. And I'm like, I thought you said he didn't spike it. She was like, he spiked it pretty early this year. So I was right. I had her dad pegged. Um, but yeah, I tried eggnog. It was delicious. Fruitcake I tried. I took one bite and I was like, this maybe isn't too bad. Maybe I can handle it. Then I took a second bite and it was like my entire mouth revolted. There's something about the texture and the like super sickly sweetness of the fruitcake that I tried that like just thinking about it right now makes me want to gag. Like it's one of the worst things I've ever eaten. So
I would say like 20 years ago, when I was old enough to be like a jokey smartass with my family, the one Christmas I bought a real small fruitcake. I brought it to my mom's side of the family. I said, we're all going to try it because everyone always makes fun of this nonsense and we'll see how it is. And like, I don't like sweets or desserts or candy or whatever. And like, it's not good to me for that reason, but it's really just like syruped cake. Like it's just
yeah, yeah.
like or candied cake where the cake's still in there and it has like the cherries and the fruits in it. So like it's not. I understand where the joke comes from, but like if you get a small one and share it with your family, like you all take a bite, you all laugh. It's really not as big of a deal as people make it sound. But I do think the joke is because there's so much sugar and preservatives in it. I feel like they last a long time. And you can
Yeah.
actually give it back and forth, and like this never actually goes bad, like Twinkies, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely have heard that slant on the joke of like regifting the same fruitcake over and over again for sure. But yeah, the one I tried, like you said, it's like syrupy, and like it was a particular sweetness that like is very off putting. So it was like kind of like natural fruit sweet a little bit, but mixed with like very artificial tasting sweetness. And then when you cut through to the actual cake, somehow the cake was both like incredibly dense and incredibly dry too. So it was like it was just like your mouth would instantly lose like all all liquid as soon as you tried to take a bite. So maybe there's good fruitcake in the world. I don't know. Maybe I just had a really terrible one. But boy, that was terrible. One of the worst things ever. So I'm 50-50 on trying new things for Christmas. But
At least you
maybe
tried, buddy. At least you
yeah,
tried.
I figured I should. At this point, we cut over to the Abyssal Sisters. Clotho is still recovering from her dread overdose, basically, where she had the big fight with the Kamen Rider last time around. And I thought that this was like pretty upsetting, kind of. So the other sister, Lachesis, I think is her name. She basically gets a present is how it's presented to her. She gets a present from Garyon Sama, who is like the person who's kind of standing in the shadows, it seems like, in this scene. And basically her body gets taken over, her eyes change color, the kind of voice from the corner tells her to become stained in gold. And the little sister, while she's being like forcibly body taken over, the little sister tells her children should be more joyous when receiving a present.
So good.
One of the creepiest things that would possibly come out of her mouth. Like that was terrifying.
So good.
And then as soon as the sister gets completely transformed, she gets completely taken over, she kind of stands up, does a little pose and says it's time for chemistry. um yeah, I think the sisters are continue to be a really interesting dynamic because obviously Lachesis here, she really cared about Clotho when she was injured last time. So like there's a little bit of like caring. I won't say love, but caring between those two. But it seems like the little one doesn't give a crap about these other two. Like just a means to an end is what seems like their relationship is now at this point. Um,
Like
because
they are, to use the Pokemon, like the little one is the Giovanni, and then the two bigger ones are like the Team Rocket. They're like they're there and important, but also disposable.
yeah, I think that's probably a really good, really good metaphor for it, because it definitely seems like there are much larger things happening around the Abyssal Sisters that are week by week making them seem more and more disposable. So yeah, we'll find out more about the person in the shadows here later in the episode. But next, we cut over to the restaurant. The restaurant's very busy. They're serving a bunch of people for Christmas, and Hodoro gives out a little kid, gives out a sticker to a little kid at the restaurant. There's a little like special edition Christmas sticker for the restaurant, which I don't know if that's like a Japanese thing or if they just did that for the episode, but I hope it is. I hope in Japan, like giving kids Christmas stickers that are unique to the restaurant you go to is like a it's like a tradition, because it's so strange.
Well, it might just be the Hodoro family charm.
Yeah, maybe. And then Toby, so here we're getting to the part where I'm going to spoil something from the Kamen Rider movie. So again, if you don't want any spoilers for the Kamen Rider movie, maybe skip ahead 5 minutes or so here. But this is the point in the show where we see in the episode, Hodoro's mom points out Kudo's ring. She says, "Oh, your ring's different than Hodoro's." Kudo explains that she got it from her dad. They have a nice little touching scene there. And then Kudo looks to Hodoro and basically says, like, "Hey, I want to start pulling my weight more, and from this point on I'm going to fight alongside you." And Hodoro says, like, "Okay, that sounds great, but hey, let's still take it easy too." So she kind of like vows to like fight alongside him. And I didn't really know where any of that was going in the episode, but in the movie, as
Questions were answered.
questions were answered. So in the movie, again, spoiler, turn this off if you don't want to hear it. Kudo becomes a Kamen Rider. And we kind of, I at least was expecting it to get to this point. Didn't know that it would happen in the movie. But she, uses her dad's ring as part of her, I guess, transformation, and becomes a Kamen Rider. So we have images of what she looks like from the movie. I think she looks very cool. That is a really great looking rider outfit. And this is the thing that, the was in the movie, and the official writer account was tweeting out, and then now they're referencing in the show, like kind of pretty overtly, really. It seemed like to me in the show, even without knowing this news, that they were very clearly hinting towards she was going to become a writer.
Yeah.
So,
But she's important now. She doesn't have to be so maybe like in general, maybe that's why they damseled her up so much in the beginning, because they knew they were going to do this in a couple months, or it just happened to swerve if too many people bitch that they damseled her up too much.
And honestly, like when she was saying this in the episode, she was like, "Oh, I'm going to be useful. I'm not going to make you defend me or whatever." I was thinking about it. I was like, you've been like right on the front lines really this whole time. Like maybe there've been a few things where, we had the guys like sort of fighting over her a little bit, but like for the most part, she hasn't been just a defenseless, helpless woman. Like she's been there. She's been helping her friends. Like sure, she's not as strong as a Kamen Rider, but like, she uses her little like bracelet thing, and uses her chemi cards and shoots bullets and does all kind of stuff. She tries her best. So yeah, I think of all the of all the people in the show, she's one who like even pre becoming a writer was like putting up a good fight.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for her. I'm excited for that transformation, because definitely she is a character who deserves it. I think she's cool and powerful, and I'm excited to see that for her. Now I'm really wondering when they make that transition in the show. Like it happens in the movie, they hinted at it really hard here. Do we get any explanation in the show for how that happens, or do they just leave that as a movie only thing? I wonder. They have to bring her into the show as a writer, right?
Yeah, I think
I hope
it,
so.
it doesn't happen today, but I feel like there has to be a moment in the next episode or two at this point, maybe, where shit just goes. Excuse me, shit just goes too bad, and she actually like whether it's she gets mad in pensions or everyone else gets kidnapped and she has to step up and finds the power within or whatever however hell it works out. Like they can't just let her henshin one day with absolutely no tie to it if it's like a random battle. There has to be like an actual trigger point for this of this is how we're switching things over.
Yeah, yeah. I'm always interested in how they do that in shows like, you have your big emotional moment in a film, and then how do you bring that into a TV show and make it make sense, um, in a way that doesn't just undercut the movie, or just copy the movie entirely. And sometimes it's very clunky. Like we watched an X-Aid movie where X-Aid meets one of the Sentai characters, Lucky, and then the next episode, Lucky's there as if they'd never met because movies, I guess, aren't canon. Um, that's a horrible way to handle it. So I don't know. It's always seems like a tough nut to crack, I guess. But speaking of tough nuts to crack, we cut over to see what Spanner's up to next. And this was a really interesting scene for me. So we know that Spanner has been talking to someone in the shadows who's kind of calling the shots for what Spanner does. They sent Spanner into the Abyssal Sister hideout recently. We knew that they were having Spanner watch Kudo. So come to find out, he was doing all this for a professor, Professor Kyoku, Kyo Kyouka, Kyouka. There we go.
This is what the people are here for. 5 stars.
Kyouka. Um, so Spanner basically is this professor's like A-star student, essentially. So we meet her. She fixes Spanner's sword, and we find out in this scene that they think that Kudo's father is alive. That's why they're watching Kudo. They're just waiting for him to kind of like show back up. And we also find that Kyouka is making a like beefed up Gotchard driver. So they have a Gotchard driver that she's actively working on. It's got wires all over it and stuff. And basically it seems like it's intended for Spanner when it's done. Like she's like saying like, "Oh, it's a genuine Kamen Rider driver. It's not like the Valverad driver, which only works on certain classes of Chemicards. Like this is a real deal." So the alchemy people are working on their own driver, and they clearly know more about Kudo's dad than they're letting on. And Spanner is the teacher's pet.
I like her whole vibe because she's like mellow, happy, badass,
Yeah.
and seems like it mellows him out a little bit too. Like she's the softer side to take him down a little bit, but he's very polite with her. Just ask questions. She's like mom proud of all the things that are going on, even though it's not his mom, obviously.
She's fun too because yeah, she has like kind of equal parts, yeah, like mom professor vibe, but also like mechanic vibe. Like she has like tools in her office that she works on and that she used
Well,
to fix his wrench and stuff, or you
yeah, like
fix his sword.
I just assumed she was more mechanic-y
Yeah,
because it fits with him being Spanner. Then, like
exactly.
that, it ties to the whole little vibe that he has.
So yeah, I like her a lot as well, and he clearly, yeah, she's a good like mentor figure for him. Like he clearly reveres her, because like you said, kind of calms him down a little bit. And then later, like they have this little scene, and she kind of talks him up, basically, like hey, you're great, you're the guy. And then later he has his resolve, and he's like, I think I wrote down exactly his words. Actually, he says, like I'm a super A alchemist or something like that. I'm a super A-star alchemist. He like has this like hilarious like pump up phrase. That's what he says. I'm a super A rank alchemist. So clearly he got a lot out of going to talk to her.
He got the motivation and drive he needed.
Exactly. So it'll be interesting to see how she gets used from here on out because, yeah, clearly we've seen some of the alchemy organization that clearly seem very evil. Um, and she seems more good so far. She seems like she's on the up and up, and maybe has good intentions. At least it seems like so far she's not inherently evil just by looking at her. So there's certainly some push and pull. It seems like going on inside the alchemist organization. Then, of course, we get to Kajiki thinks he sees Santa, as we talked about before, but instead he sees a giant snake head in the sky.
With jingle bells, though. That was the key.
Yep, the bells. The bells come up later. Find out that So that was how they figured out there are multiple heads, because Hodoro knocks the bell off of one of the heads, and then a head shows up later that has a bell again. So yeah, the bells were relevant. But Kajiki gets petrified, turned to stone, along with a bunch of other people, and then eventually including Sabimaru and Renge. So Hodoro's friends are getting petrified, along with like a good chunk of the town, essentially. And
because their professor, all the kids' professor, even said, at this rate, the whole city's gonna be petrified if this keeps up.
Yep. And this, the scale here, I think, is interesting. The snakehead is massive, like coming out of the sky, towering over buildings, like could easily petrify the whole town because it can kind of see the whole town. What did you think about the look of the snakeheads?
They were very cool. Somehow, I guess because it's farther in the distance and kind of like blent into the clouds, it just seemed very like video gamey, final boss, final battle. Oh shit, the ultimate evil's coming out of the sky.
Yeah.
And for most of it, it looked very good visually.
Me too. I'm glad you said that. Because I agreed, and I wasn't sure if you would or if other people would think so, but I was very into it. Like, it's pretty clear that it is a hand and a puppet. Let's get that out of the way. These aren't just pure CG snakes for the most part. It looks to be a hand and a puppet controlling them. But yeah,
I forgot about that because I saw it and I thought about it. I was like, this looks like a rubber Pizza Hut toy puppet. And I forgot about it. I let it go because it only happened. I only really noticed it the first time and thought about it. I didn't write it down, but that's a good reminder. It was definitely. I will concur with you on that exact thought of it looks like a hand in a puppet.
But like the fact that you forgot about it is kind of the beautiful thing about good tokusatsu, where like you watch an old like 90s Godzilla movie. Like I think it's pretty on par with like the 90s era Godzilla, where you watch them and it's like it's cheesy, it's clearly someone in a suit, but then you get sucked in and you forget, right? Like it's very easy to suspend that disbelief and just enjoy the big monsters fighting and stuff like that. And I think this was a really good example of that, where it is a pretty simple practical effect, pretty simple costume, but they shoot it really well. They give it the scale that it needs, and they, hide the base in the shadows and in the clouds as best they can. And it plays so well, it looks so good. And the whole time, like, as he's like, as Hodoro is like flying through the air fighting it and stuff, it's like it felt like the biggest giantest monster that they'd fought, and it felt so cool. And I was comparing that in my head to when he fought the T-Rex, when he fought X-Rex, and it's like not even comparable. Like X-Rex looked like shit and was just this CG monster that didn't have any weight to him, didn't feel big even though he was supposed to be huge. And then you give me this like puppet and I'm in. Like I'm so in. So I wish they do more like the puppet and less like the pure CG X-Rex nonsense. Because yeah, I thought that this was very, very good. But everyone's getting petrified, Toby. Everybody's getting taken out. Spanner shows up and is ready to fight as a super A rank alchemist, but eventually Hodoro basically sends him away and says like, "Hey, he's coming after me. This is my fight. You need to get away." And the big turning point, I guess we'll get to that point, is they realize this is the Amalgam with many heads. It's not multiple snakes. It's one Amalgam with many different heads. So then they realize that it must be Jimata no Orochi, which is the one we talked about earlier. And I looked it up because they said that this was a present from Garyon-sama. And Garyon, there's actually a Wikipedia page for Garyon. Garyon is the three-headed grandson of Medusa and Pegasus from Greek mythology.
Ooh,
So
there
it
you
is
go.
it actually is a mythological beast, basically. So
But
some
ties even more to the overarching Greek vibe of
Yep.
the whole show.
Exactly. Yeah. Like the Abyssal Sisters for sure have a lot of that going on as far as references and vibes and stuff go. And now like that the bringing in of Garyon basically as the the Medusa like figure is a cool reference. Like I'd never heard of Garyon, but in googling it, yeah, found like, oh, this is a real thing. Which is cool. And sometimes it is depicted like in Dante's Inferno. I'm seeing here, it's depicted in a similar vein as in the show here, like a multi-headed dragon, basically, which is what we see here. So I thought that was pretty fun. They eventually blow away all of the smoke to reveal the body of the beast, and that's how they can kind of continue the fight. Basically, now that they've figured out kind of what's going on. It's also worth pointing out that the Amalgam is super chatty this whole time too. The snakeheads are talking, going on and on about experiments and, oh, you're a part of my experiment. Are you enjoying the experiment? So lots of talk there of chemistry and experiments and stuff like that, which has kind of been permeating in the things that the Abyssal Sisters are doing. They're gathering data, they're doing their experiments and stuff like that. So something is brewing, I guess, as far as they're concerned.
The bigger picture, a little fuzzy, but it's getting there,
Yep.
slowly developing.
Another thing that maybe helps it start developing a little bit further is the big turning point of this fight. So Hodoro, he gets knocked down, he gets dehensioned, things aren't looking good, everybody is petrified. He drops his mom's Christmas gift and he thinks he's not going to be able to make it. He has like a big strength resolving moment that he's about to he's trying to work up to, trying to figure out how he's going to not die. And then suddenly an orange Kamen Rider Gotchard appears. Basically decked out in like fire gear. So it has a cape, everything has flames on it, everything is orange, but it is clearly Kamen Rider Gotchard. This new Gotchard has a driver, or has a buckle on top of the driver that we've never seen before that kind of looks like an engine, like has a little bit of like a V shape to it to kind of give it a bit of an engine vibe. This orange Gotchard pretty handily handles the snakeheads, like cuts them all down without much effort. That makes the Amalgam finally reveal its true body and become kind of human shaped, like the small version of the Amalgam. This Amalgam fights the orange Gotchard, and eventually the orange Gotchard kind of stops the fight and says to Hodoro, you have two choices. You can let me handle all of this, or you can take your future in your own hands and you can fight back and you can handle it. So Hodoro decides to stand up for himself and to fight for his future because he hasn't even given his mom her Christmas present yet, is what he says.
I thought that was cool that his dad motivated him to do these things.
You think it's his dad? You think this is who this is going to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I guess notably we get to hear the voice here of the orange Gotchard, and the voice at least is a character that I don't think we've seen elsewhere, or like didn't sound like any of the main cast, obviously. As I'm watching the episode, because they did the tease about Kudo becoming a writer earlier in the episode before I knew of what happened in the movie, the very first thing I thought when I saw the orange Gotchard was like, oh, is this Kudo? And then orange Gotchard spoke, and I'm like, okay, well, it's not Kudo.
I mean, it could also be Kudo's dad, I guess. But it's definitely one of the two kids' dads. It's not going to be just a random adult.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, I guess I have further thoughts of how it could play out, which we'll talk about here at the end. But Hodoro stands up for himself. The fight wraps
real
up.
Quick before you go too far.
Yeah.
This then is why last week they had the orange and blue tablecloths. at the Christmas dinner. And I said it
Oh.
reminded me of Xaid and the two colors, and it doesn't make sense. Like, I guess it's Gotchard colors, but that makes more sense that there's now an orange Gotchard and a blue Gotchard, and that's why they had the colors on the table.
Little bit of foreshadowing, maybe.
And if it wasn't, I'm just gonna pretend it was anyway. So here we are.
I like him. So yeah, fight's over. Kimmy gets captured. Hodoro's about to fall over. Spanner kind of catches him, which I thought was a cute little moment between the two of them. And Spanner says, like, basically, like, great job. And Hodoro's like, that was the orange guy. Everyone is saved. Everyone becomes unpetrified, which is a fun, easy ending. And then Hodoro gets to give his mom a Christmas present, her lovely little pin. It was pretty. A nice little beautiful pin that she got. It was a very good, very sweet Christmas present. And a nice little moment between mother and son. And then, Toby, we get the end of our episode where we get to see back to the Abyssal Sisters. The man over in the shadows steps out of the shadows. We get to see him. And he tells us that the real fun will begin next year.
I thought that was, I was so stupid, giddy happy at that line, only because of when the episode actually came out and when the next episode comes out.
Yeah,
it was such the best stupid time to drop it, like the chronologically. I guess the show is going at our time. I mean, it's kind of been obvious with, like, I know they just threw the Christmas episode and stuff, and they can fit those in anywhere. But, like, I guess we're going to assume that, like, Gotchard is happening in real time.
Yeah,
in the rest of the world.
I think so. It's beautifully on the nose because it is in the show. He's saying that, like, oh, we've got big plans, and next year, of course, is when he's saying it'll happen because that's the time of year it is in the show. But he's also, as the show, telling the audience that next year is when there's going to be huge stuff happening on the show. It's so fun. I love that double meaning of that line from him. Very cool. And this guy, man, this guy is interesting looking. He's dressed all in black, a little bit of a goth vibe to him, kind of. And he clearly loves gold. He mentioned gold earlier, and he's carrying, like, an all gold Rubik's Cube, which I found very funny.
He looks like an anti-pastor, like a pastor wear all white with the gold.
Yeah,
basically, like the brooch and everything. And he just looks like the opposite. He's just like vampire style, blinged out, ready to go.
He does, yeah. He looks like he should be. What's that band where the dude is like a fake pope who leads the band? You know what I'm talking about?
Ghost.
He looks like he should be playing in Ghost. That's what he looks like. Yeah. And he says, "Shall we proceed to the next experiment?" So I was wondering, after seeing the end of this, after seeing this scene, whether he wasn't the golden or the orange Gotchard. Like, potentially could be. We're revealing someone in the show, and then we got the Gotchard reveal as well. So potentially he could be someone who's in the costume. I don't know if that would mean that he's also Hodoro's dad. He looks maybe about the right age-ish. So that could be a connection. So I'm saying we could tie those threads together. And then to wrap up the episode, very last thing, Mr. Minato is in their lab. He's looking very distraught, and he says, "So the time has finally come." And then we cut to the orange Gotchard standing on a roof, looking at that buckle that he has, that kind of engine-looking buckle. And then the episode ends. So Minato knows more than he's letting on, as do most of these characters, it seems. So we have a lot of new questions, I feel like, leading into next year for Kamen Rider Gotchard, but it really seems like they are indicating on all fronts that, like, things are picking up, huge things are about to happen. You got to tune in. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty fire episode. I guess I was really just like over the moon on the big snake monster. That was great. That was a really fun fight. I'm really excited about a brand new Gotchard and finding out who the heck that is. I'm excited about this new bad guy. He seems super fun. I like his whole vibe. And I like that he's into experiments and chemistry and all that kind of stuff. I think he seems cool. So there's a lot to figure out and a lot to see. I think that you know, uh, I think a lot of people were turned off by Gotchard from the start that it had, but I think that they're really things are ramping up here, and it's becoming a show that I'm hooked on week to week in terms of like, oh, I got to figure out what happens next. Like, I think that they're doing a good job now of building those things in, which I think it was missing before.
So that brings up a weird point. So we're 16 episodes in. I've using my one specific reference case. Shade said that he didn't really like it in the beginning, kind of checked out on the show, vaguely came back already. Like, if you're into Kamen Rider and you watch those first 3-4 episodes and it sucked, like, or to you it sucked, like, would you even start watching the show now? Like, would you even go back to it? Like,
I
I know
think
it's kind of easy to, but that seems weird. Because, like, I know you said too, like, I guess the words demographics, but probably not. Like, Geets was still more popular than Gotchard when you and I had a conversation
yeah,
offline about it.
yeah,
And that was like 2 or 3 months into the season.
yep.
So, like, even if people start saying, like, wow, Gotchard got better, episode 20, do the people that gave up on it on like 2 or 3 just go, okay, well, fuck this season, I still don't care? Or, like, do you just.
I
Do you
think I
force your way
think that
through all the bad shit that you think think is coming to get to the quote unquote maybe good part and then still get mad if it's not good?
I think that a lot of people do that. I think that it seems like the vibe from the people who that I read online. So if you see people on Twitter or whatever talking about it, and again, those are people who are going to be like pretty plugged into this, right? So it's not necessarily the casual fan of Kamen Rider, which I don't really know if there is a casual fan of Kamen Rider in terms of you have to go torrent something to be able to watch it. So it's sort of baked in as a little bit of a not casual thing. But anywho, I definitely see the consensus a lot, or see people saying a lot of like, I stopped watching a show until I heard people say it got good again. It got good, and then I decided to catch up and watch it. Like, that happened, I think, at some point with I guess the previous Sentai. That was when I heard it on a lot for sure, where people were weirdly turned off by the vibe in the first couple episodes, stopped watching, and then it got really, really good. And I think a lot of people thought, well, okay, well then I'll catch up and check out what it's about. So I think people do that, and I think people who watch Toku stuff tend to do that. And I think a lot of them maybe sample the shows at first, and then stop and see what the vibe is in a few months and see if it got good or if it's worth their time or not. So maybe people will be able to, like, word of mouth, pick it up and start watching again. Maybe that'll be a thing. But I think that if it doesn't start strong, I think that it will never reach like the height that a show that starts strong does. Like, I think Geets started really strong and kind of stayed strong. So I think people definitely watch that more than they ever will Gotchard, even if it gets really good and people catch up.
So looking at
But
the past 30 days on Google Trends, which is obviously just people searching for things kind of thing. As of December 21st, Geets was still beating Gotchard like every other day in trends and searches and popularity.
that's crazy.
And for Christmas Eve, Gotchard spiked like crazy and beat Geets on basically like the 2 day, like December 22nd through 24th. Gotchard was on a slow uptick, and then Christmas Eve like maxed out the way that Google does their trend things. So it was like, was this episode just the thing?
Yeah.
Were these past 2 weeks just the thing, and then the movie came out? Where like people were like, "Oh fuck, let's look at Gotchard now."
Well, I mean, the movie coming out probably helps a lot too, and because I mean, especially think about it in terms of like if you're in Japan, like you really loved Geets, and then that a Geets movie is coming out like that, so you're gonna watch it, and then you'll be like, oh, I guess this Gotchard show's a thing too. So like maybe that is gonna drive people to Gotchard. I don't know, but yeah, I think in the U.S. and in English speaking places that are getting it translated, like I think that hype around a movie coming out and like getting to see some of the like spoilery stuff like we talked about in this episode probably drives some searches so people can see it. Probably then ends up getting people to check back in with the show if they tuned it out. So that probably all helps for sure.
Okay, so I just noticed that Google defaults to the United States when you do the trends.
Yeah.
So switching it to worldwide, which would have been the better option this whole time. Gotchard has been a little bit above Geats basically since like middle of November. So
Okay.
I guess just in the United States, I guess during the movie and some other stuff, it ramped up. But Gotchard has been more popular than Geats basically for most of it. But the number one country for interest in Kamen Rider Gotchard is France.
So
Followed by
I searched for Gotchard and Geats on the same thing. Um, and my trends are a little bit different if you don't put Kamen Rider in front, which is interesting. Like they're similar but not exact. But the number one country for Gotchard is Argentina for me.
interesting.
Yeah. Oh, and the number one country for Geats is Laos. So I'm assuming that that's like means something or really, let's see. I'll put Kamen Rider in front now, so I match.
But yeah, the winter movie for both of them seems to be like one of the most popular related searches right now. So
Yeah, people are hype on the big movie reveals and stuff. I think for sure, but it does definitely seem like, just looking at our numbers and stuff we've talked about before too. Like I never really thought about it before, but clearly, based on the numbers here, like the opening couple episodes of a series are like crucial for hooking people. So definitely don't bury the lead. Future seasons of Kamen Rider, try being good right off the bat. It turns out it's better.
come out strong, or no one's gonna care.
Yeah, and I think Geats especially was a real standout show because obviously it was very good and it was a little bit different of a vibe, a little more serious a vibe. I think that probably I think it probably was a vibe that fit a lot better with some of the like English speaking audience, I would guess. Like, I think that a lot of people in the US are probably into the idea of like battle royales and stuff right now because that's popular. So it was probably just like a perfect storm of like a really good season that also like had some themes that spoke really well to like the US and stuff. So that's probably why it's enduringly popular here. But people need to start watching Gotchard. Dang it, it's good.
Get some Chemi cards.
Okay, yeah, you buy some freaking Chemi cards, man. What are you doing? I finally saw my first Lorcana cards in person. I was finally at a Target and walked by and they had Lorcana cards for sale.
That's fun.
I didn't buy any though, but I saw them.
That's not as fun.
No, I almost bought Pokemon cards, but then didn't. I talked myself out of it. Because who needs cardboard in their lives, Toby?
I have a couple boxes of it waiting to be opened still, so yeah, I guess I do.
I like living vicariously through your Pokemon cards is what I decided instead of purchasing my own. So
that's fun. That's why I usually wait for you to open them.
I love it.
At least it makes it more entertaining for me, just rather than just sitting here and going, "Wow, a card."
Ooh, a card. Ooh, another card. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us for Kamen Rider Gotchard episode 16. The fun begins next year, as
Exactly.
Our mysterious man told us. So before we close out, we can talk about where people can find us on the internet. So take it away, Toby.
On Twitter, it's Life of Tobes, and on YouTube, it's Tobes Plays.
And I am on Threads, kind of on Twitter, but not really. Not those places. You can find me at Pretty Dece Josh. I've started using Blue Sky a little bit more weirdly, but I can't remember what my Blue Sky name is, so I'll tell everyone next week. It's something similar to that. But that might be the platform I land on. I don't know. We'll see. If Threads has a weird vibe. This past week, maybe I'm not into Threads. I don't know.
It seems stupid to me the whole time, so I never bothered.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't want to get too deep into it, but Threads feels a little too Instagram to me, and I don't mind Instagram, but Instagram has a vibe about it. And Threads feels like it is just the Instagram vibe, just in text. And really, I wanted the Twitter vibe, just without the racism. That's not really what I'm getting from Threads. So anyway, we might be off Threads. We'll see. But excuse me, I'm gonna take a moment.
Fall apart. We gotta end this. Josh is dying.
I want to take a quick drink, and then I have important things to tell the people. All right, thanks for sticking with me for that. If you would like to get even more of the Kamen Riders, you can do that, and I'm about to tell you how. You can sign up to our Patreon for just $3 a month. That's $3. You can get access to all of our bonus content. We put out stuff weekly. We do watch and reacts, which are like Mystery Science Theater, but for Kamen Rider. Right now, we're watching through X-Aid. You can check out everything we've done on X-Aid so far, including a couple movies and about half the series. Maybe a bit over half the series, actually, now at this point. We've done Kamen Rider Black Sun as well. You can check out all of that. We also occasionally post Ramblecast, where you talk about all manner of nonsense. And you get access to our Discord as well, where you can join our awesome community over there that talks about all manner of fun stuff, including Kamen Rider, all week long. So check that out, patreon.com/thecommentwriters. Also link down in the description. We'd love to have you join us. We'd love to have you sign up. We love doing that bonus content stuff. It's super, super fun. And we'd love to share it with you as well. And that's how we can do that, by you joining the Patreon. That's it. Spiel over. We hope you check it out. We'll be back next time. Maybe not next week, because I don't think there's an episode next week. But we will be back soon to talk about the next episode of Kamen Rider Gotchard. And until then, have a great week. Have a great year, everybody. Peace.